सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ
Good evening and welcome back to the Upanishad series. So we started Mundaka Upanishad last week. So this is from the Atharva Veda. So we will start with the Shanti Patha of the Atharva Veda. We'll do a quick recap and then we will continue our discussion. We will continue section 1.2 means Prathama Mundake Dutiya Pada. We will also start the second Mundaka, the first Pada. This is what we want to cover. Before we start further, let's hear the Shanti Pada directly from Anu. So Anu, if you could chant the Bhadram Karnepi, we will start with that.
Om Bhadram Karnebhiः Shrunuyama Deva Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraः Sthirairangaistuštuvagum sastanubhiः Vyashema Deva hitayadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedah Swasti nastarkshyo Arishtanemihi Swasti no Bruhaspatir Dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi.
Thank you very much, Anu. As you know, this Shanti Patha is invoked before the study of every Upanishad session. And we have seen that from which Veda that particular Upanishad is coming from, the Shanti Patha varies. Since the Mundaka and the Mandukya Upanishad comes from the Atharvana Veda, the Shanti Mantra is Bhadram Karnebhiः. We are seeking the blessing of the higher to give us the longevity, because without longevity life, you cannot study this thing. You want health and emotional stability. This is what you are seeking the God, so that my mind will be calm, quiet, and my body will be stable. My intellect will be sharp. I can commence this study. This is the high-level meaning of the Shanti Patha. Let's do a quick recap on whatever we covered last week. I know that it was a hard session. A lot of people talked to me offline. Please note that the Upanishad, we are studying not an ordinary textbook. We are not studying an introductory textbook. We are studying the highest spiritual knowledge. So naturally, it won't be that easy. But if you pay the attention, you will understand it. If not, happy to discuss anytime whatever you don't understand with you. So today also, the subject matter is going to be like that. But if you pay attention, I will do my best to explain as simple as possible. And we will dedicate the Q&A session to answer any questions. If you need follow-up, that can be done. One suggestion is, if we can limit or focus the Q&A for the content of this subject, it will be easy. But I am bound to answer any question. If you ask any question, I won't say no. But for the study, it would be better if you focus on this content, because this content is not an easy content. So if we can focus on that, it will give more clarity or more opportunity to clarify the questions. So the Mundaka Upanishad, we started with Mundaka, the first Mundaka. The Prathama Mundaka has 2 khandas. The first khanda is the introduction. We call it as Avatarika. And the second khanda, second part is the Brahma Vidya Samkshepaha. Brahma Vidya summary. I got a feedback that I'm using a lot of Sanskrit, so I'll try to translate into as much English as possible. Even though I'll say Sanskrit, I'll translate immediately.
What's the second one, Rajeshji? First one is Prathama Avadarika, right?
Prathama, the first chapter is Mundaka 1. Mundaka 1 has 2 khandas or subsection. Correct. The Prathama khanda is known as Avatarika or introduction. Okay. Okay. And the second khanda is known as Brahma Vidya Samkshepaha or the summary of Brahma Vidya.
Thank you.
So in the Avatarika, there were 2 topics covered. The first topic was lineage. The lineage is very important because to show that this is not an ordinary knowledge. The knowledge has started from Lord Vishnu himself. It came to Brahmaji. From Brahmaji, it went to the sage Atharva. The sage Atharva is the one who composed or discovered a lot of mantras in the Atharvana Veda. And the sage Atharva passed this knowledge to a sage called Angiras. And this particular Upanishad is a conversation between a householder of that time, Shaunaka, with Angiras. The whole Upanishad starts when Shaunaka approaches the sage Angiras and asks a question. Kasminno vijnade sarvamidam vijnadam bhavati. By knowing what? By knowing what, how I can understand what is to be known. So a lot of people got confused with that statement. Please don't go with the exact literal meaning. So last week we talked about this in extent. So it doesn't mean that, right, by knowing Brahman you will know every knowledge in the world. That's not what it means. Kasminno vijnade sarvamidam vijnadam bhavati. When you say that, because a lot of people thought that, okay, if I know Brahman tomorrow onwards, I'll be able to know Korean language. That doesn't mean. It doesn't mean like that. Right? Or I would know woodwork from tomorrow. No. That's not what it meant. It meant by knowing what, I understand the essence of everything. To understand this, think about a dream. If you are in a dream, let's say that you are going through a lot of difficulties and struggle in the dream. What is that one knowledge which helps you to understand the whole phenomena? That one knowledge is this dream space, dream time, and the dreamer itself is nothing but the consciousness. The moment you realize that, everything else becomes sense and nothing is going to able to solve the problem with you, when a problem is in you. But that doesn't mean that you will be knowing every phenomena happening in the dream. Not at all. And that is not required. So what is that knowledge you need to solve your problem? What is that knowledge you need to understand on what is the essence of everything? That's what it means. So please understand that. So this is the question. To answer that question, the Upanishad style is always Samkshepa, Vistara, Samkshepa. So the content of the whole Upanishad is summarized in the second portion. So he said, the absolute reality, right? Means I started by saying that if you don't know a particular substance, you want to solve an equation in math, in arithmetic, what do? algebra, what you do, you substitute a variable as unknown for the things you don't know right now, and then gradually try to solve that. That is the approach. If we talk the example, a student brought a basket of candy into the class. He gave 2 candies to the first benchers, 3 candies to the second bench, 4 candies to the third, 5 candies left in the basket. How many candies he brought? You make an assumption, let the total candy is X, 5 students in the first bench, everybody was given 2, so 2 times 5, second bench has 5 people, 3 times, the third bench has 5 people, 4 times. So 4 times 5, 20, 3 times 5, 15, means 2 times 5, 10, 35 plus 10, 45 is the candy. So the whole problem solving, the whole class, the exploration was to find the value of that unknown. So the whole spiritual journey, we know that there is a reality behind this universe. We don't know what exactly it is. And the whole spiritual journey is nothing but solving the value of that unknown. And that unknown is represented with the variable Om. So Om is a sound syllable representing that absolute reality. The whole spirituality is nothing but an exploration of finding the value of this variable called Om. So let's say that this absolute reality is Om, and what it represents is Brahman. Brahman means Brihi Vrthe, that which pervades everywhere. That's all it means. So Brahman is the reality. We are making an assumption. So how do you define this reality? So that is the problem solving. He said that can be defined in 2 ways. The first one is called Swarupa Lakshana, and the second one is called Tatastha Lakshana. Swarupa Lakshana means you define something based on its property or its attributes or its own nature. That is Swarupa Lakshana, a direct definition. And the second one is Tatastha Lakshana. Tatastha Lakshana means an indirect definition. So we need to know these 2, right? So just understand, these are technical terms in the Upanishads. Even when you study computer science, you learn certain technical terms, because only knowing that technical terms, you can understand that subject. So when you study Upanishad, you need to learn certain technical terms. This is Swarupa Lakshana, Tatastha Lakshana. Brahman, Ishvara, all these things are technical terms. So I will explain this again and again. This is what we studied in the Atma Bodha textbook, but there are a lot of new people, so I'll explain each in its context. So Swarupa Lakshana of Brahman is the existence of everything. Existence of everything is Brahman. How? When a gold ornament is there, the existence of that gold ornament is nothing but gold. Right? The bangle or the chain or the ring has only a name and form. That bangle or the chain or the ring depends on gold for its existence. Is it difficult? This is not difficult. I'm explaining it because I got a lot of query on this topic. So even though it's taking a little bit of time, wanted to make sure that this topic is clear. So the existence of the gold ornament is gold. The existence of a clay pot is nothing but clay. The existence of a wave is nothing but water. The wave cannot exist without having water. So we can say that relatively, the water has an independent existence because the water need not be a wave for its existence. The gold need not be a ring for its existence, but the ring needs to have gold for its existence. So the world needs an underlying reality for its existence. It cannot exist by itself. There was a time when this world was not there, and there will be a time when the world is not there. So what exactly on top of which the world exists, and that existence is Brahman. This is the Swarupa Lakshana. And what is the nature of this Brahman? Normally the existence in the case of a wave, in the case of a pot, in the case of a golden ornament, it is inert and insentient. But here there is a different. It's existence, but at the very same time, it is the very consciousness that enlivens you. I don't need to teach you what is consciousness. You all are aware of that because you are conscious of yourself. You are conscious of the things around you. What is that consciousness? That consciousness, the Upanishad tells, it is not a property of the matter, but it is its own existence. Just like one electricity enlivens the whole electrical equipment around us, one consciousness in this universe enlivens each one of us. So why Rajesh is Rajesh, Bhuwanaji is Bhuwanaji, Rohitji is Rohitji, Bala is Bala? The reason is because of our body-mind equipments are different. The expression of the electricity in a computer is different from the expression of the electricity in a bulb. The electricity is not different. What makes the expression different is the equipments. So like that, the nature of the Brahman, the Swarupa Lakshanam is, Brahman is Sat, Sat eva Brahmaha, Chit eva Brahmaha. These are the two things. Brahman is Sat, Brahman is Chit. And then the second thing is Tatastha Lakshanam. Tatastha Lakshanam means indirect definition. The Rishi tells, oh child, you see a world in front of you. What is the cause of that world? That is Brahman. Everything you see has a cause, and that cause is Brahman. Right? We talked about the different types of causes. For any effect, usually there are two causes. One is called the material cause, and the other one is called the intelligent cause. I talked about an example. The pot, the material cause is the clay, and the pot maker is the intelligent cause. In this particular case, the material cause is same as that of the intelligent cause. The material cause of the universe is Brahman. The intelligent cause of the universe is Brahman. So we say, Nimitta Karana, Upadana Karana. Material cause is known as Upadana Karana, and the intelligent cause is called Nimitta Karana. So we formulated a term called Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana. The cause which is same for both material and intelligent cause. That is Brahman. This is the Brahma Vidya Samkshepaha we have seen. I know this was a very heavy dose, but just listen to this. Like we are going to cover Upanishads after Upanishads. You will get it. Okay. So with that, let's continue. So the second topic of the first chapter, the second chapter, the first topic. So Brahma Vidya Samkshepaha, the two types of knowledge. We are going to talk about that. So, sorry, this is the, I misspoke. Last week what we saw was Prathama Mundaka, Pradama Khanda. Pradama Khanda had two sections. The first section was introduction or avatarika, and the second section was Brahma Vidya Samkshepaha. So the Prathama Mundaka has the second section. The second section is going to talk about two things. One is the two types of knowledge, and also it is going to talk about the two types of results. That is the scope of the second section of the Prathama Mundaka. Don't worry, Mundaka, assume that it is a chapter. Khanda, assume that as a section. That's it. So, the Upanishads talk about two types of knowledge. It is known as Paravidya and Aparavidya. You might have heard of these terms, I'm sure. Those who introduced to Vedanta a little bit might have heard of this term. Paravidya means knowledge about the absolute. Knowledge about Brahman. Knowledge about your own true self. Knowledge about absolute reality. Or the knowledge that liberates you. Remember, we said there is an absolute reality behind this universe. Right? Because what is the cause of everything? If I say the cause of this pen is plastic, you may ask, what is the cause of plastic? I may say that a few chemical, right? And what is the cause of that chemical? I can go back and say that this is atoms. Atom is the cause. What is the cause of atom? So like that, if I go back, I will reach that the primordial cause. Swami Chinmayananda used to coin a word called uncaused cause. That uncaused cause, or that fundamental cause, which is the essence of everything, that the knowledge about that is known as Paravidya. So only the teachings about the absolute reality, the Brahman, that is called as Paravidya. Why? Because that is the most fundamental knowledge. Now, everything else, every other knowledge in this universe is known as Aparavidya. So the use of the Aparavidya is the Aparavidya prepares for you to reach the Paravidya. That's all. Whereas the Paravidya gives you the liberation, but the Aparavidya helps you to grasp the Paravidya. For example, all the meditation comes under Aparavidya, because meditation is not going to give you liberation directly. It makes your mind in a state which can receive the teachings of the Vedanta about the self. All the prayers comes under Aparavidya. All the yoga, right? Bhakti yoga, karma yoga, all this will come under Aparavidya. All the secular knowledge in the universe comes under Aparavidya. In other words, knowledge about the absolute is Paravidya. Every other knowledge is Aparavidya. That's it. So this is the second topic, the next topic covered in the Upanishad. Let's continue. Then it's talk about two types of results. When you pursue this Paravidya and Aparavidya, it can give two types of results. One is the material benefits. The other one is spiritual benefits. Laukika benefits and Adhyatmika. Laukika phalani, Adhyatmika phalani. Laukika phalani, right? If you do, you get health. Of course, if you do yoga, meditation, all this knowledge and the health science, everything, you can get health, you can get wealth. This is the worldly benefit, material benefit. And this material benefit itself can be divided into two. One is Ihaloka Phala, the other one is Paraloka Phala. Ihaloka Phala means what? You get it here and now. Paraloka Phala means post-mortem rewards. So let's say that if you do some good karma, you do a lot of charity, etc., that will earn punya for you. If you believe in heaven, you may have some time in heaven, or if you don't believe in heaven, you get punya that will give you a better life next time if you believe in these things. So this drishtaphala, adrishtaphala is there. So one is the benefit you get immediately in this world, or the material benefit. Even the punya is kind of a material benefit. It's not a spiritual benefit. That is why, even earning the punya, what happens? When the punya exhausts, what happens? You will come back. There is no permanent heaven or permanent hell in our tradition. Swami Dayananda used to say there is no permanent residency in heaven. You cannot secure a permanent residency in heaven. All the visas are temporary visa. And second thing is what? In heaven, you cannot earn any punya. It's just exhaust and you come back. That's a whole different topic. That is not the subject matter of the Upanishads. It's all Puranas. But the thing is that the karmas can give you worldly benefit. Some of them could be the benefit you get here. If you don't believe in that paraloka pradhana bhala, that's also fine. Don't worry about that. But the spiritual benefits is jnana yogyata prapti. You get a pure mind, you get a stable mind. Means in Vedanta we call it as sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. Don't worry about that. But viveka, vairagya, shatka sampatti, mumukshutvam, all those things, right? That the ability to receive knowledge. Vairagya means your interest in this subject and your priority on these subjects. That's another thing. Then some basic qualities of the mind. And finally, mumukshutvam, a desire for liberation. All these things will come. Second spiritual benefit that is guru prapti. You will find a teacher. A right teacher will come to you when you are ready. That is what? Another benefit, spiritual benefit. And final and ultimate benefit is what? Liberation. So this is the next topic. Once again, there are two types of the vidya knowledge. One is paravidya, which is the knowledge about the absolute. Aparavidya, which is everything else. The goal of the aparavidya is to prepare for you to the receiving paravidya. And there are two types of phala. One is the material laukikya phala, and the last one is adhyatmika phala. Laukikya phala itself is ihaloka and paraloka. Don't get too much complicated. This is all just two points to understand. Okay. So the next one is what phala you get. How do you know that whether I'm going to get material benefit or spiritual benefit? Or how do you know that whether it is ihaloka and paraloka? The Upanishad tells two things. What type of actions you do and what is the attitude you do. Remember, this is what is karma yoga. This is where the karma yoga comes into the picture. If you do proper actions with the proper attitude, you will definitely get the spiritual benefits. The same karmas. So the type of action you perform, if I do only cheating to others, can you expect spiritual benefit from that? Not at all. So the type of action I perform and the attitude by which I perform the action is going to determine what type of results I am going to get. Whether it is laukikya or adhyatmika, whether it is ihaloha or paraloka. It's very clear. What Upanishad tells is very clear. Now, that covers the second khanda of Prathama Mundaka. So there is one mantra, it means there are a couple of important mantras. One is, the important mantra is, in fact, 11 is also, let me give you the important mantra. So the 12 is the important mantra. So he tells, Parikshya lokan karma chitan brahmano nirveda mayanna samskrita kritena tatvijnanartham sa guru mevati gachet samitpani shotriyam brahmanishtam. It's a beautiful verse. The only reason why this mantra is an important mantra is it means the guru prapti is what is indicated here. So after some time, a wise person will realize that you need to do spiritual karma, and for that you need to reach a guru. And what type of guru you should be reaching? He said, Shopriya and Brahmanishta. Remember, I used to quote this in the Bhagavad Gita class a lot. What should be the qualification of a teacher? Shopriya means one should have good communication skill, ability to teach. Brahmanishta is what? The one who has that is established. Remember, in the meditation class, we talked about Nishta versus Jnana. Mere Jnana is not good enough. Nishta. Nishta means you are established in that truth. So this is an important mantra. you can note down. So this mantra is the very famous mantra that defines the quality of a teacher. Okay. So with that, let's go to the second Mundaka, second topic. So here we are going to have, the second Mundaka has 2 topics. In fact, 3 topics. The first topic is Srishti Prakriya. How exactly the world got manifested. Second topic, see the Prathama Khanda of the second chapter has 2 topics. The first topic is Srishti Prakriya, and the second topic is going to talk about the nature of the Brahman again. Brahman is Sat aspect of the Brahman, and then the Chit aspect of the Brahman. In the first chapter, we saw the Brahma Vidya Samkshepaka, the summary. That summary will be elaborated. That is the topics. So let's talk a little bit about the Srishti. First of all, it is loosely translated as creation. So the word creation, English word creation, carries a little bit of different meaning. The word creation means it assumes something out of nothing. Here it is not like that. That's very important. So the word Srishti, a better translation is manifestation or projection. Swami Vivekananda, during his Chicago addresses, he calls this out. So that's why I just mentioned. So the whole idea is everything in this universe, the Rishi tells, everything in this universe is born out of Brahman. He tells a lot of examples. He tells the Panchabhutas, the earth, water, air, fire, and space. Prithvi, Vayu, Agni, Akashaha, and Prithvi, earth, water, air, fire, Akasha. Yeah, 5. 5 elements. What does that mean? So you need to understand the ancient worldview. If you ask me how many elements are now, it's 105 or 109, etc. But based on the ancient worldview, there were 5 elements. You can loosely translate it as the state of matter. That is one way of seeing this. So understand that it's a model used to represents the whole universe. Model, for this, you need to understand, those who are scientifically minded, you need to understand, why didn't the Rishi find out the 109 elements? That was not the goal. The goal is to define a model using which they can explain the whole phenomena. That's all. So in this particular model, there are five elements or 5 states of matter. The states of matter, when you look at that, they are solid, liquid, gas, air, solid, liquid, water, and plasma, and the last one is absence of everything. So the Upanishads tells, in the beginning means relatively beginning. What happened? The only existence was Brahman, the absolute reality, which is represented as Om. From there, what happened? This undifferentiated matter came out as elements, 5 elements. And from that 5 elements, the combination of these 5 elements is the entire cosmos. The Rishis in this particular Upanishad, they call out the ocean, they call out the mountain, They specifically call out the grains. They call out the vegetable kingdom, all the vegetables in the world. They call out the animal kingdom, and they call about the human species. Everything came out of Brahman. So don't think that only life means things with life has Brahman. No, every matter, right? That is why they said the basic elements, basic material elements that constitutes the entire universe came out of Brahman, the reality. Very big statement. So when I see this pen is inert, insentient matter. What exactly constitutes this pen? I can say that this 105 elements. I can say that these 105 elements came from something. What is that something? That is Brahman. If I take this flask, this is also an inert, insentient element. What exactly, why the flask is different from pen? I can say that the molecules are different, but the underlying reality that creates each of these molecules, that is the same. Even if you go with the modern science, you can say that 105 elements constitute the billions of different materials in the universe. And if you really go down to that 105 elements, hydrogen atom is different from oxygen atom. Oxygen atom is different from sodium. But if you break the hydrogen, if you break the sodium, what exactly you get? The atoms, electron, protons, and neutrons. If you break them, what do you get? Subatomic particles, the quarks. If you break that further, go down, what happens? We don't know. The science talks about the theory of everything. But here we have an answer. There is an X. If you break it further, it reaches somewhere, and that is one. And that one reality constitutes the entire universe. So, Brahman is one, but the expressions of Brahmans are infinite. Not one or two, infinite. This is very profound and this is very scientific. Right? Simple, means think about that 105 elements. It's only 105 elements. But how many different expressions are there in this universe? The book is different from the pen. The pen is different from the water. The water is different from my skin. The skin is different from hair. Everything constitutes, everything came from that limited number of particles. And you go further down, you can say that everything came from the same source. And this expression can be created, it can be destroyed. When you say something got created, it is a transformation from one form to the other. You see in the next two verses later. There is a famous statement. Means in the second section you will see. It says Brahman cannot be created or destroyed. Are you familiar with that type of sentences? What is conservation of energy, which came in the 18th century? It says energy cannot be created or destroyed. Brahman cannot be created or destroyed. Upanishad word. The Upanishad tells the manifestation of the Brahman can be transformed from one form or the other. Coming back to the science. You may use different language, but the idea is the same. So this is very important. The Srishti Prakriya is not that somebody just imagined something and the whole thing came out. No, this is a different kind of Srishti Prakriya, saying that there is a fundamental reality, everything came out of it, everything exists in it, and everything comes back to it. The reality is one, the expressions are millions or billions, right? The reality is Satyam, the expressions have relatively Satyam. The reality cannot be destroyed, the causes can be transformed. This is what it tells. How scientific it is. This is amazing. These are the things that took all these great scientists by storm. So this is the first topic. Everything in this world, whether it is plant, animal, or human, sun or the moon or the star, plant kingdom, animal kingdom, or the humanity, whether it is the elements, the sky or the mountain or the ocean, everything is but Brahman. These expressions are, the manifestations are millions or billions, but the cause is one. This is number one. This is amazing, right? So let's continue. So this is the one verse, important verse. So Brahman is the cause of everything. So let's understand that. So the Rishi tells, Tatetat Satyam Yada Sudiptat Pavakat Vispulinga Sahasrashaha Prabhavante Sarupa Tacha Tathacharat Vividha Somya Bhava Prajayante Tatra Chaiva Piyanti. So don't worry about the Sanskrit. We are not studying the details. It tells, just like from a big burning fire, you get sparks come out of it. Just like that, from this absolute reality, all the names and forms comes out and finally goes back to it. So all these flames comes from one big fire. The sparks, all these sparks comes out of the fire. Just like that, the whole universe comes out of Brahman. So this, all the example has its own limitation. Shankaracharya, when he writes the commentary, that's the first sentence. Every example has its own limitation. That's why it's called example. So that's, understand that, but understand that the cause of everything is Brahman. So let's continue. Second important mantra. Second important mantra is the second mantra. The second mantra of the second Mundaka, right? So he tells, Divyoha Murta Purushaha Sabahyapyandaro Hrijya Aprano Hyamana Shupro Hrityaksharat Parat Paraha. So he tells this reality is self-effulgent. Everything else is what? It needs something else to function. For example, we said the gold ornament is dependent upon gold, but the actual gold is not dependent upon anything. So we all are dependent upon Brahman for its existence. The Brahman is not dependent upon anything for its existence. That is the first point. Then he tells Arupa. It doesn't have any form. The manifestations may have a form, but the Brahman do not have any form. And the reality, he pervades all the bodies in the universe, inert and life. And this reality is complete. It's there inside, it's there outside. It doesn't have any birth, it doesn't have any death, it doesn't need to breathe, it doesn't need anything. It is completely pure, meaning pure means there is nothing other than itself, and it is beyond all the modification. And that is what is Brahman. This is the second mantra, which we need to remember. Again, I already summarized it. These are some of the important mantras I'm just calling out. The third one is, again, no, we already talked about this. So these are the two mantras we need to see. So that covered the two topics we wanted to cover today. We will do a quick summary, the summary of the second topic, meaning we covered the Prathama Mundaka, Ditiya Khanda. We also covered Ditiya Mundaka, Prathama Khanda. So 1.2, 2.1. 1.2, the topic was the two types of knowledge, Paravidya and Aparavidya, and two types of results. One is the material benefit, other one is the spiritual benefit. The material benefits can be Ihaloka and the Paraloka. That is the first topic. And the spiritual benefits mainly, it could be the Jnana Yogyata Prapti, means readiness to prepare the Paravidya. That is one of the spiritual benefit. Second one is the Guru Prapti. Probably I'll find the right teacher. And the ultimate benefit is moksha. And the second Mundaka, Pradama Khanda, what we talked about was Srishti Prakriya. Srishti Prakriya means how the world has emerged. The world has emerged from Brahman. So we talked about the process from the undifferentiated Brahman, what got manifested. The differentiated 5 elements got manifested. And from that elements, the permutation and combination is the entire universe, including plant, animal, human, the grains, everything. And the manifestation are many, but the reality that supports these manifestations are the same. Brahman cannot be created or destroyed. The manifestations can move from one form to the other. Nothing can be created or destroyed. It's only changed from one form or the other. So we talked about that. And now there are 2 other topics which we are going to see. One is Sat Eva Brahmaha. The second one is Chit Eva Brahmaha, which we will cover in the next class. I don't want to go too much because last week I got feedback that this topic is very difficult. So wanted to give more time for Q&A. So we'll do the closing prayer. Bhunaji, if you don't mind, we can do the closing prayer. And after that, we can go to the Q&A.
Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shantis Shantis Shantihi. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo